a lot of people come to me and they're like, Peter, how do I get out of the depression that I'm feeling? I'm feeling sad, and it's like I've been feeling like this for years. It's been on and off, and I just try to fight my way through it, and how do I get out of that? Now, I am a really good person to ask because for years I was depressed. And it wasn't until about 4 or 5 years ago that I finally got myself out of this situation, and it sucked. Every single day I would wake up and I would feel the weight of the world on my shoulders. And it's like no matter what I did, I dove head on into self-development books and videos, and I was just, I couldn't figure it out. And when you're feeling depressed or sad in this country, I have a question for you. How does the country tell you to deal with it? How does the world tell you to deal with your sadness? They give you a pill. You go to the doctor and you tell them how you feel, and they're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna give you this, or this. Here's pick and choose your poison, right? So what I'm here to tell you today is that I'm here to tell you what I consider to be the cure. I'm gonna say it. I consider this to be the cure for depression. And you can have a judgment against that, but this is just what I believe. And I'm gonna tell you how you can essentially cure your depression. This is how I cured it. This is how other people have cured it. This is not based on my opinion. This is based on the latest science and psychology, human needs psychology. And this human needs psychology basically dives into our motivation or our motive for action. What we think, what we feel, what we say, what we do, how we behave is all based on this invisible force that guides us, and it guides you. Now, we're all unique. We're all different. This is something that we should celebrate, right? I'm unique, you're unique, and we're all significant in our own way. But at the end of the day, we're also animals, right? We all have a nervous system. We all have a brain. And these things rely on specific functions, and they're predictable. And if you understand how our patterns work, then you can tinker with it. It's kind of like if we're the car, we can take the engine out of the car, we can tinker with the parts, we can modify it, put it back in the car, and now it works a little bit better. So I'm going to teach you how to cure your depression, if you've ever felt that, by comparing us to a car. So we're driving along in our car, it's a beautiful sunny day, and then all of a sudden we see a light on the dash. And this is the gas light. I know you've seen it before. If you're like me, I'll write it to the very end until I absolutely have to go to the gas station. But what happens, I go to the gas station, we get out of our car, we put the thing in the tank, right? We fill it up, and we're fulfilling essentially a need. You see, a car has needs in order to run. It needs gas, it needs oil. Now, it's preferable if it was clean, but it will still run without being clean. It has needs. But once I fulfill the need of the gas, the light or the signal goes off. And if you have low oil, what happens, right? The same thing, right? You go and you fill your car up with oil, and then guess what happens? The little signal, the little light goes off. All that signal, that light is trying to do is trying to tell us that it has an unfulfilled need. And all its job is to drive us to action to fulfill that need. That's it. You see, we're the same way. And our emotions, all our emotions are, is just a signal that our brain sends us to fulfill a specific need that's not being fulfilled. That's it. And once we fulfill these needs, right, then that signal stops because all it wants is for us to fulfill it. And there's 6 human needs. These are the foundational needs. We all have these needs. The first need is certainty. So we all have a need to feel safe, to feel certain, to feel a certain amount of security, for things to be consistent in our lives. This is a need. We also have this need to feel uncertain. Tony Robbins says this is kind of like God's trick. It's like God has a sense of humor. We have a sense of certainty, a need for certainty, but we also have a need for uncertainty. This is like variety. We need variety. We need a little bit of juice. We need a little bit of excitement in our lives to feel alive. Imagine you're watching a movie, right? You're watching a movie and it's predictable. It's the same thing. It'd be so boring. Imagine your life without a little variety. The third need is love and connection. We all need love. Now, at one point in my life, I was like, I don't need anybody. Well, guess what? If you're human, you need it. Babies need love in order to survive. We need it. It's hardwired into our DNA. The fourth need is a need to feel significant, to feel separate, to feel unique And this gives us a sense of satisfaction of being who we genuinely and uniquely are, right? These are the 4 foundational needs. But there's 2 more. There's 2 more needs. Now, those are the foundational needs, but these needs are the spiritual needs. These are the needs, if you fulfill these needs, you feel alive, you feel vital, you feel excited to be a human being. And this is essentially what it means to have inner peace and joy and fulfillment. You see, the 5th need is growth. We need to grow. Just like animals, just like plants need to grow. Imagine if you were to go to a tree and you see a tree grows, it needs to grow. Never does a tree at any point during its treeness say, you know what, I'm pretty good. I think I'm done growing for now, right? You never see that. It grows until it dies. See, we're either growing or dying. There's no in between. And unless we're growing and stretching and reaching, then we feel less than, right? We're sent the signal from our brain that something's off and we need to fulfill it. But you see, there's a 6th need, and this is where you feel the ultimate of being what it's called a human. It's our need to contribute. With all those other 5 needs, we have those needs, and we use all of those needs in order to contribute to another being's life. Whether it's a plant, right, if that's your thing, or if it's a human being, when we contribute to someone else's life, we feel ultimate peace and joy. Now, these are needs, and if we're not fulfilling these needs, then our brain sends us the signal that says, hey, you need to fulfill this need, right? So what happens when we don't fulfill these needs and we're sent this signal? Our country tells us to take a pill to solve this problem and to mask this signal, but you're not fulfilling the need. And what happens is that we don't feel this signal anymore of perhaps sadness or deep depression, but we're also going around feeling unfulfilled, and we can't figure out why. Imagine if you have an alarm in your house, right? A fire alarm. Imagine you're at the end of the day and you're laying in bed and you're like, oh man, work sucked, or work was great and I'm just really satisfied with laying here. And then you start hearing this beeping alarm and it's annoying, right? And you get up out of bed and you walk towards this alarm on your ceiling, past the flames, past the smoke, and you go and you're unscrewing this annoying alarm and you take it off and you throw it in the drawer and you go lay down to finally sleep, and then you rest in peace permanently, right? And it seems silly, but that's what we do in this life. We go around trying to stop these signals, essentially our brain trying to tell us that we're not fulfilling a need. And how do we go around dumbing down these signals? Stress after work, what do? What do a lot of people do? They go to the bar, they go to happy hour, and that dumbs down that signal. Or we eat a donut, or for me, ice cream. I don't drink alcohol. My thing is ice cream, right? If I'm feeling stressed, the first thing that I do is I go and I eat my ice cream because it dumbs down what I need. It's fulfilling a need temporarily. But the cool thing is that once we identify this, once we figure out that these are unfulfilled needs, that sadness is this unfulfilled need, we can get curious and saying, how else can we fulfill this need? Is it because I'm not connecting with people, right? Because I need that connection? Is it because I'm not growing? You see, for me, the sadness was because I wasn't growing. So for years, I was just sad and I couldn't figure it out. I had a great job. I had great family and friends, right? Everything was happening. Like I was making my dream. I was living my life as a filmmaker. All these things were happening and I couldn't figure out why I had this sadness within me. And it just was just getting worse and worse until finally I was like, man, I don't know what to do. Just something needs to change and I don't know what. And finally I had to make a decision. And I made a decision. I was like, okay, I have to keep going and living my life as it is, or listen to this little voice inside of my heart. I had this whisper, and it was whispering to me for years. And it was telling me, Peter, be a public speaker. Be a motivational speaker. Become a coach. And I ignored it. It almost seemed like kind of silly. Like if I listened to this thing, it felt like, man, how do you make a living out of this, right? And all these people I would tell my dream to, and they'd kind of laugh. And it was like, do I keep going the way that I'm living? But it's so depressing, right? It's so sad. Or do I do I follow my dream? And ultimately, I decided one miserable day, after not sleeping for a month, I decided to follow my dream. And the second I decided to follow my dream, everything changed. It's like I was injected with this excitement. I was injected with this vitality. It's like, oh my God, I was like, yes. And within like a matter of 10 minutes, I was like, Peter, was it ever even a consideration? Of course you're gonna follow something that you love. I only have one freaking life, dude. I'm not gonna continue living a life that I don't love for money. Oh my God, it was so abundantly clear. Now the sadness I was feeling, let's backtrack. The sadness that I was feeling was an unmet need. It was my brain sending me the signal that, Peter, you're not fulfilling a need. And you know what that need was? I had the certainty, which was the money. I had the variety. I went and I did a bunch of fun things, the friends and the family, and I felt unique, but it wasn't growing, right? And since I wasn't growing, I was feeling sad and depressed. And as soon as I fulfilled that need, I felt better. Now, the next day I felt a lot of fear because I wasn't fulfilling my need for certainty. I didn't know where the hell my money was gonna come from, but that's another story. You see, now for you, your sadness may be coming from somewhere completely different. I don't know what that is. Maybe you're not connecting with people consistently. Maybe you're not certain. Maybe you don't even know when your next paycheck is gonna be coming from. Maybe you're not feeling significant enough. Maybe you just try to please everybody except for yourself. But as soon as you find that little piece of the puzzle that you're missing, that need isn't fulfilled, as soon as you get curious and you start asking questions, you see, the power is in the question. You keep asking yourself, is it this? No. Is it this? No. And then you experiment and you start doing new things. Because these are needs that you can fulfill in any different way. There's a variety of ways that you can fulfill a need, just depending on what need is going to be fulfilled for you. And as soon as you fulfill it, it's cured. And the last thing that I'm going to tell you is this. So listen closely. This is actually really, really important. Feelings are transitory. They're simply signals. That's it. So instead of saying, I'm depressed, stop it. You see, language is so incredibly powerful. Now, if I was to say, I feel sad, that's one thing. But if I say, I am sad, it now becomes an identity. And anything that we incant consistently affirm over and over and over again, it conditions it, it records it in our brain. And when you say it with enough emotional intensity over years, it now becomes your identity. Try letting your identity go. You can let a feeling go, but to let your identity go, that's a really, really challenging thing. Here's an example, right? If I was to write sadness, the word sadness, in the sand on a beach, the tide comes in and it washes the sand away and I have a clean slate. But if I was to carve in stone on one of those big rocks on the beach, the word sadness or depression, the tide could come in over and over and over again, but that word is now gonna stick. So instead of saying, I am depressed, saying, I'm experiencing sadness. Do you see the power in that? Do you see the difference? I am this way as opposed to I'm experiencing this, because all you're experiencing is the signal. And the signal is just your brain telling you that you're not fulfilling a need. It's amazing. So there you have it. Go out there, get curious. What do you need? Try to fulfill it. And there's so many ways you can fulfill it. I absolutely adore you. My name is Peter Feza, and I am here to serve you. I'm here to remind you to conquer any of your fears and just live your dreams. Living your dreams takes time. It's a process. It's progress. So if you want to get the videos that I make here, if you like that video, and you want to get them before anybody else gets them, then subscribe to my channel. Or if you want tips, tools, and strategies before anybody else that you can't get on my YouTube channel, go to my website and I'll give you all that plus more. Leave a comment. Tell me what you're looking for. I'm here to serve you. Remember to conquer any fear and live your dreams.